Hi there, I'm Liberalia, and welcome to a tutorial that will show you how to use WanGP. WanGP is a wonderful bit of AI software that you can create many things. The wallpapers here are created with WanGP. I'll just let you see a couple of these if you like. These are created with Flux on WanGP, and I'll show you how to use that and many more amazing models, all with only 8 gigs of GPU needed. This is a wonderful bit of software developed by DeepMeep called WanGP. WanGP stands for WAN GPU Pro. I've actually had to give it its own partition, it's that big. We're going to use this one and we're going to launch this. You may not have that launch thing. This is actually a special edition by a friend who no longer produces it, I'm afraid. However, I am going to be using this in my own build of this software. I'm doing my own build mod called Wantastic. At the moment, Wantastic's in a little bit of a shambles at the minute, but I have ported a few of its features over to WanGP temporarily. So yes, you will notice this WanGP may look a bit different to yours. And that's just because what I'm actually doing is I'm trying to revert the Wantastic code to a stable point where we can start building on it again next week. I use anti-grav and anti-grav's quota is always running out. So due to that, I can't work on it until next week. But that's okay. We're going to now dive into this. So yes, it says Wantastic 2.3. That's the right version, by the way, but we're using the WanGP version by DeepMeep, just disguised as Wantastic. It's got a slightly different cover on it. But otherwise, this actually looks and works the same as the original WanGP right at the minute. There's no modifications other than the colours. Okay, so I won't be able to show you a lot of full-blown models here, but I will show you a way of running some of the full-blown models with only 8 gigs of GPU. Now, this will not be fast, and I'm not going to make this an extra fast tutorial because I want you to, shall I say, learn stuff from this at a moderate pace. I am aiming this obviously at more my type, who are the autistics and the ones with learning difficulties. And that's because I basically like to spread my skills in the same way as I needed them spread to me. Although, I'm going to be quite blunt, I actually self-taught myself a lot of this. You mightn't be able to do that, that's just a little bit of info there. I self-taught myself a lot of this because I can't read manuals and stuff. So this tutorial is for all of you who basically are in the same boat, like, oh, how do I use this thing? You maybe are looking at this, looking at these guides, and you probably think, oh god, okay, what does even all this mean? Why would I use this? What on earth do you do with that? What does this do? I don't understand any of this. None of this makes any sense. Even if, credit to WanGP, he's probably written it, DeepMeep has probably written it absolutely fine for other people, but autistics, we're different. And we need autistic to autistic, guaranteed. Recommend it. So, I'm going to go the same pace. We're going to start with an image to video model. Image to video was the first model I ever used. Now, I do want to give you another disclaimer. A lot of my models have different names to yours. You just need to ignore the Canadian part. Image to video is what yours will say. WAN 2.1 image to video, but it works exactly the same as it says there. A copy of the workspace for image to video. It's just the way I've got the software set up. It's my own setup. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick image to video. So what's image to video used for? Image to video is used to make a quick video from an existing image. I absolutely love doing this because it allows me to see images as video. You'll see what I mean when we run it. It is really quite cool. So, going to load in an image and going to load in something from my resources library, which is over on this drive. Got a bunch of images here. Quite a lot of these are actually here to be used with image to video. So go down and select something that we can animate or we can make something happen. I'm probably going to go into here, which is like a lot of creatures from Realm here. This is my own world, Realm here. And I'm going to animate one of these. Let's animate this this greyhound here. This greyhound here looks like he's sort of sitting in a magical spell. So let's maybe make some like magic swirl around them. All we have to do is type in this box that we want that to happen. Now bear in mind, I'm using a simplified version of this. A lot of people would tell you be very detailed on these prompts. I personally find you can get quite good results out of this without that necessariness. We're not going by everyone else's rules here. If you're on my channel, you'll know I'm an oddball. And I like to do things my way. And I can still get good results. So it's not necessarily to be that detailed, especially on an image to video. On text to video, yes, it is a bit more, but you don't even have to be extremely bad on text to video either. Okay, especially with these models, because these are all what's called distilled models. Distilled means that the model is running in a limited state. Something else I should show you here just before we go is that I've grabbed this LoRa from, you can look this up on, it's called a Light X2V image to video 14B 480p config step distilled rank 128 BF16. You don't really need to know what all that means, but all you need to do is get yourself one of the Light X2 I2V models, doesn't have to be the rank 1281. And set it for 1.0. This will allow you to run the image to video model with only 4 steps. I personally even cut this down to 3 sometimes and get good results. Okay, let's have some fun with this greyhound. We're going to ask it, we say, a greyhound stands in the forest, so it's always a good idea to give it a little bit of a background picture, but you don't have to be I have to be really specific. So a greyhound stands in the forest. He uses a magic spell. And by the way, spelling's my absolute terrible thing. I can't spell to save my life, but I'm lucky I've got this much without a spelling mistake. You'll see many typos, and that's why I recommend you use this software in something like Chrome, because that has a spell check built in. And I definitely need it, believe me. A lot of you probably aren't on quite on my disabled level. You'll have to realise I'm at a much lower level than probably most of you viewing this. This is a magic spell and makes pink stardust swirl around him like that. So that's a short little prompt. It's quite basic. That's what we call a prompt, by the way. This is called a prompt. So if you ever hear me talking about prompts, it's basically in my opinion, prompt's a strange name for it because it's really the instruction. It's the instruction that you're giving the AI. It's basically saying, right, what you want it to do with the picture. That's what a prompt is. Don't really know why they use the word prompt. It's a weird word, in my opinion, for what it does. When you get your settings, you might need to tweak a few of these. I'd recommend you set these NAG settings. They're very useful when you need them, believe me. 1.5, 3.5 on this one, 3.5 on this one, and 0.5 to 0.3 on this one, depending on what you want. In some cases, you can actually turn this off and get interesting results. Of course, these are for you to play around with, but I'm just showing you the settings that I'm using for this particular video. The seeds are set to random, as I rolled up with the everything seeds. It's only one phase because this model doesn't require 2 phases like WAN 2.2. UniPC is my favourite scheduler, but I am also quite fond of this one here, a ICM LTX. Now I wonder if that actually has something to do with LTX. And shift scale should be set to 3 for WAN 2.1. one because I've noticed with WAN 2.1, if you set this to 5 like you do in WAN 2.2, it can go quite out of control, but you can always try it. It's okay to play around with these things. The most important thing is that you know how to get yourself back. And that's the thing I do fear in these new versions of WanGP. They took out the little things that they used to have to revert them. I'm thinking of putting these back in my build, Wantastic. So these will be back, and then you'll be able just to click those to go back to what you had. I think there'll be an undo button in my build. So I will sometimes throw in every now and again a little improvement they could do. Okay, here we go. So now it's going to generate the thing. So what it's going to do is, if you haven't already got a model, it will pull the model for you off the internet totally automatically, save it into the models, and then you do most of the time have to do the LoRa's manually. We'll have to be honest, you have to do this manually. You have to pick us, basically download this off the website at GitHub. Just put in light x2v i2v. That should be enough, and you should get the GitHub repository that contains this model, or one like it. I've actually got a few of them installed, as you can probably see. I do have BF16, but I also have a rank 16 version as well. I personally find the 128, even though it's bigger, is a little better for the stuff that I do, just because I do more advanced stuff. But you know, the 16 version might be okay for you. So download whichever ones you want to try and run them. That's all I can say. You'll find your own preferences there. I can't tell you what to do on that part. Okay. Now you are going to see real-time generation here as well. I don't want to be sugarcoating anything. This is not a fast process. It's relatively smooth on this particular computer. This computer, I'll introduce you to my system. Actually, let's look at the system information on this. It's like not half as good as it used to be. You can see that doesn't tell you really anything at all. Hold on, I think there might be another one. I am actually, believe it or not, still getting used to Windows 11 because, believe it or not, and I'm just going to let you know this fact, I still spend most of my time on 7. My main system is 7, and guess what? I'm not changing it. It's staying on 7 forever because Microsoft have not made a good system since Windows 7. Although Windows 8 is passable. My opinion. Okay, so we've got here 4.3 terabyte 8 gig graphics card. Yeah, so that's what you want in there. You've got 8 gig GPU there. So we go down here, look at the specs. Should show you the specs. Just not show you the specs. Gosh, it doesn't seem to be a single place you can see the specs anymore. Oh, there. That's the spec. That's meant to be the specs, but it doesn't show a lot. I don't particularly think this is a very good screen. It's just... Okay. I'll tell you the specs since Windows 11 is the lousiest system for getting specs. The specs of my system is I've got a 13th gen i5. It's a laptop and build. It's actually a Radeon array as a Scout 15. If you want the model. Really good. Totally would recommend it. It stays very cool when doing stuff. It can run a surprising a lot of things. Despite being only 8 gig of GPU, it can run a surprising lot. That's got a 50 graphics card in it, RTX 5050 from Nvidia. It's quite a new one. I think it's Blackwell architecture. If you don't know what that means, that doesn't really matter. That's just how they make the card. And you've got 32 gigs of RAM, which is extremely important for one of the models we're going to run on here. We're going to run a really big, cool model on here in this WanGP, and it's quite a new one. But I do want to include it in this video. And you need a lot of RAM itself for that, because if you don't have enough system RAM, it can trade it to RAM. Now the only thing is that makes it slower, but you know something, I'm quite used to this stuff, I'm going to be honest, and I'm quite a patient waiter most of my times, which is ironic because actually I'm not a very patient person, and that's just being honest. For most other things I'm not patient at all, but I've learned to be patient with this. Okay, so WAN VAE is decoding. So if you wonder what VAE is, VAE is just like, I personally am still not sure what it is. So a VAE basically finishes the video, let's just say that. It's the last layer of decoding that happens before the video is ready. And so it's an important part, so you might see it downloading VAEs and stuff when your thing, just, you know, let it do that, and it needs all these parts. I've set mine to upsample. I'll show you where you can set that. If you want it to do this, and this will make your video a little bit bigger than it's generated, which means even a 5 size, you can actually get quite a decent size video. Sorry, you can do it here. Temporal upscaling and Lazarus upscaling. These are the two I use. There are other upscalers, but to be honest, there's not that many other ones in WAN GP. We're looking at the software in particular. So, but it should be enough. Now, audio is a pretty cool little thing because a lot of these models don't have audio. audio will actually try and imagine an audio for the video. So when I play this, it will actually have sound. Okay. And look at that. I've always loved how realistic this looks. Watch that again. And that is an awesome clip. I'm not gonna lie. You can see how well synchronized the sound is, despite the fact the sound is actually coming from a completely different model. It's coming from audio. I think it's amazing how this and WAN works together. It gives WAN almost like sound, even though the model doesn't officially support it. It's really, really cool. I'm saving that into my, you could say, collection of clips. You'll definitely see I've got some quite unusual ones. But anyway, that's going in there. So that is WAN image to video. And of course, you can use all sorts of pictures with it. One thing that you can also do, and not everyone knows you can do this with WAN image to video, is that you can actually use the image as the background for a new clip. So let me just show you that real quick. Won't be real quick, right? But okay. Say we're going to go to this. Now remembering, anything that you put in is the first frame of the video. That's one thing you've got to remember. You're basically inserting the first frame here. So empty forest, basically nice empty nightly forest, and suddenly something's going to come walking through it. So I'm going to put empty blue and purple magical forest. A deer walks down the path. Now you probably figure there's no deer in the image. This is where it gets interesting, because there is no deer in the image. As you can see here, it's literally just a forestry path. So how is it going to be able to do that? This forces WAN to use a little bit of its own imagination versus the image. And you will see it should be a deer in this image, in this video. So this is a way of using image to video in a way not everyone talks about using it. And that is, you can... Okay, I've noticed something about image to video that definitely didn't used to be true. It supports end images now. I haven't yet tried that on image to video. I normally try this on the VS models. VS is going to take some explaining, I'll tell you that. It's a pretty cool and really versatile model. And there's two versions of it. There's one for WAN 2.1 and one for WAN 2.2. Most of the time I do use the 2.2 one now, but I did used to use the 2.1. And there's probably going to be various models for other great models such as LTX2 in the future as well. In fact, I'm trying to make a homemade one. Just a little bit of a secret there. I'm trying to make a homemade one that will work with LTX2, will give it various capabilities. Has it been successful? I got one successful gen out of it and then the code got completely messed up. So, yeah. I don't know if I can fully call it a success. But it showed it was trying. And it showed that it must have been doing something like that. And that I believe it is possible. I don't know when official VS access, VS support for LTX2 will come out. But I'm definitely going to be pouncing on that when it does. You'll see why. This is really fun to play with. It's not just like a model, it's like an entire studio. This model can do ever so many different things. Bear in mind, this is all open source stuff what I'm showing you today. All of this is free and you can run it on your own PC if you have even an 8GB RTX GPU. As you can see, these times are slow, but they're not terrible. And I'm absolutely fine waiting for them. So, we might do a little jump cut here, because you've seen one generation now and how long it takes on WAN 2.1. Generations on WAN 2.2 do take a bit longer. So, we'll do a little jump cut and I'll jump to where the forest has been generated. Give me a moment. There. Okay, so we're almost here. We're at VAE decoding. This bit does not take long. And yeah. This should be interesting to watch. So remember, we are making this scene from the Nightly Forest. We have Arthur Empty Blue Nightly Magical Forest, but a deer walks down the path. You're probably thinking there's no deer in this scene. So this is going to force WAN GP, or WAN 2.1, which is actually the model working within WAN GP, image to video, to think, how do I put a deer in here? Because there's no deer in the image, so I can't copy one from the image. So this is where the worlds of text to video and image to video collision a little bit. And the AI will now start to think of something we can do, so let's watch. And there you are, you can see that the deer has came up. Slightly weird movements, not gonna lie, slightly weird movements, maybe because this particular image of the forest is not the highest resolution. That's probably what's caused that, to be honest. These are quite low res images. So quite often you'll get little blips and little errors like that if it's a low quality image. But you can see it did do it. It's made a deer. There was definitely no deer in that image, and the deer is just now walking through the forest quite casually. So yeah. So I think that concludes image to video. I'm just saving those default settings for myself. If you want to save basically where you are, you should click this button and that will save the workspace of that model as you have it. And the only thing it won't do, sadly, and I think DPP really needs to fix this, is that it won't restore the images that you've used. So you will have to load these images back in again, which is a bit of a pain. I'm not gonna lie. I may fix that in Wantastic. I probably will fix that on Wantastic, but I'd like to think DPP might actually fix that in the original WAN GP as well. Okay. Now we're going to have a little bit of fun, and like I said, I haven't got all these models. So we're now going to go back to basics, and we're going to look at text to video of the same mod. We're not looking at that. I don't know what that is. Obviously, I'm not going to show you anything I don't know myself. I think that would be a bit unfair. Okay, so we have here. Right, now. I might actually rerun this prompt, so I don't have to type it all in again. So as you can see, I've got a lot more negative prompts in this one. So what's going on here? Well, text to video basically is going to be saying to it this time, you're pulling it out of your own imagination. Imagine you're giving it a blank canvas this time. It's not getting a background. It's not getting any visual details. It's not getting any of that this time. You're giving it a blank piece of paper this time and saying, right, draw this. For a while, the artist basically needs to know ever so many different things. So this is like the artist model. This is where it's going to basically go, all right, okay, you want me to do this from scratch. Okay. So I put in scene description, lie peacefully in a cozy crib in a warmly lit nursery surrounded by soft pillows and gentle glow from nearby lamp. Movement description, a young springbok with glowing purple horns, also known as an antelope, but it won't know that. Moves its lips, makes melodic cooing sounds and softly sing while blinking eyes are small twitches in lifelike motion. Her little purple wings flutter like a fairy. The sign on the crib says light of the world. Now, I'm going to be quite fair, this is a very detailed prompt. This is the sort of prompt you'll see other people on the internet using. And yes, I was having a go with this, but you know, not all of that is necessary, depending on what you're doing. I've got good results out of text to video without all of this. However, I do want to maybe show you it at its best. So we're going to keep this prompt in here. But don't worry if you can't type it this elaborate. You don't need to. In theory, I could have just done this as a springbok lying in a warmly lit nursery surrounded by soft pillows and gentle glow from nearby lamp. The springbok thing. I don't even need to like put these movement bits and description bits in and all of that. This is just to push it to its absolute best. This prompt here. So it does look more complicated. I personally would recommend for beginners you don't jump right into text to video. Image to video is actually better. Because you can then say to it, right, just animate this image. You can have a bit of fun with that. This is a bit more advanced. Okay. Let's see what it does. I have actually generated this scene once or twice on this one. And it normally comes up quite... Now, this model's normally a bit quicker. One thing you do also need as well, and I am going to go back to this before I forget, is that you do need to have your like X to the T to V distilled V to LoRa. It could be rank 128, but like I said, I've got a few installed, as you can see here. I've got a few installed. You don't use the ones that say WAN 2.2 though. They will not work on this one. You have to use the ones that say WAN 2.1. And yeah, you want one of these Litex models, distilled models. So, and you set that to 1.0, and that basically means you can run the text to video, the full text to video, with only 4 steps. Makes it a lot quicker. And that's also a GPU saving thing as well. It will save your GPU. Because, well, not all of us have absolute high-powered rigs with 20 gig of GPU. I mean, there seems to be quite a lot of people do now, I'm not gonna lie. But do you have any idea of what eye-watering prices they go for? Absolutely ridiculous. I'd have to sell this entire mansion, and I'm not going to do that. So I'm sticking with my 8 gig RTX, and also means I can run this and it's never got really warm. So I've got more confidence in it. You hear about like fires and stuff getting started with this GPU stuff. So, you know, sticking with the lowest version is actually probably your safest bet for safety. Even if it does mean you're not as fast. But who cares? It's what you get out of it. It will eventually do it. You can see this is a good deal bit quicker. Note that whilst you're doing this, your fans will spin quite hard. That's quite normal. A couple more settings up here that you might want to know about is that I've got my attention mode set to flash. This is probably the best attention mode. What an attention mode is, and this is how I would explain it in basic terms, is that it speeds up the generation a little bit from what you would get if you don't have an attention mode on. But it does sacrifice quality a tiny bit. This one has the smallest sacrifice, let's put it that way. FP16 and quantization in a T8. A lot of that really doesn't matter. I would recommend this one though, FP16 over BF16, because otherwise the models are ginormous in that other mode, and you don't really need those giant models if you're using a low grade GPU. So after we've generated this, I'll take you through my settings just really quick before we go on to, well, we'll be actually going on to this after this. And my goodness, I've got a few things to show you in this. This will probably be the last chapter of this video. And yeah, these videos will be quite long because I'm doing this at a moderate pace, I'm not rushing anything, and I'm showing you stuff in real time. By the way, the soundtrack of this is both Ace and Suno. I wouldn't have had enough Ace songs on their own. Okay, so you can see we've got this, and it definitely looks quite like what we asked for. Oh, the sound is... yeah, the sound doesn't always work right. Let me confess that. So I'll tell you what, let's play it with no sound. This is how it would come out if you didn't use M audio. You got to take the sound off it. But we're concentrating on the video itself. There you go, bit. That's really good quality. It's got a nice lamp light, and the bot looks very comfortable in the bed with her glowing purple horns. Sorry, Antelon, that's what she is. And yeah, I think she looks quite comfortable in her crib. Which Antelons actually do sleep in cribs because Antelons never age past the age of 3. So due to that, they're basically babies forever. So yeah, that's so that's an example from text to video. Okay. Let's dive into some settings before we go on. I'll point out most important parts of these settings that you need to set. Just leave that blank. 2 levels is probably a bit easier to manage. If you go with 3 levels, it can get, for me it gets a bit confusing because you like having, you've got like, you see where you've got these 2 boxes here, you actually have an extra box there, and it's like, oh okay, that's a little clunky for me in particular, but it'll be okay for you, so set that how you like. Dimensions are pixel budget. That's actually the best one for the image resize behaviour. You've got these other options as well if you want to try those. But I find this one behaves the best. And yeah, you have this automatically. You will have to, you can manually install Flash, or if you're a little bit more advanced, you can use anti-gravity, Google's AI, to install it for you, like I did. because I have no idea how to do that. But don't worry, if you haven't got this, it's not the end of the world. You can run it on this one, and it will be just a little bit, shall I say, slower. But that won't affect quality. I don't recommend these ones. Even though they're a lot faster, they can knacker the quality really bad. So I don't recommend Sage. A lot of people would tell you, oh, just use Sage. Don't. If you want good quality, don't use Sage. I've been disappointed with it. But it's up to you. I mean, obviously, if it's okay for you, then use it. Preload model at watch. I personally uncheck all these boxes for GPU Pro. Keep 5 videos. You can set this to what you like, to be quite honest. Keep 30. I used to have that setting on. But I've actually got that one on now. If you want a display of how much RAM and statuses you're using, you can enable this setting if you want that. But I just keep that off. That might, on a GPU Pro system, push things too far. I'd recommend just taking this off, leaving it at default. Personally, I can't actually run any of these on here, so I probably should actually switch this off. And then you have your pass-through checkpoints. Now, yours will be set to what checkpoints you've got. I've got mine set a special way. However, I no longer need this line. I've done a change recently, and I no longer need that line. So, just going to make sure that's nicely saved. Don't need to use that now. Raw root folder is Laura's. This is actually a really good thing, and it's pretty useful. This saves your queue if it crashes. The only thing it doesn't do though is reload your queue when you start the software up again. So I think it would have been better if this has a save the queue to queue rather than error queue. Because if it saved it to queue, then the software would have just refired with the queue loader. And it would resume where it was after the crash. This doesn't work on my build. I have a completely different theme, but I won't be showing you that in this video because strictly speaking, we're using WAN GP normal. This will be set and properly on your one. Queue colour scheme, that works, and that's probably the best one for you. If you use that, your models will be absolutely enormous. So just think about your GPU space and how much space you've got on your hard disk and stuff. I haven't tried this one. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't got the internet right now, so I can't try it right at the minute. But recommend it is that one. Transformer data type is better to be on FP16. Even though it will say auto base for hardware, if it's on that, your models will be eye-wateringly big. So I still recommend this one. Transformer engine precision is based on just 16 bits. I find when you do that, your prompts start to get mixed up and styles start mixing up and all sorts. So you're better off with this. Text encoder quantization. I find that, yeah, you can have that. Either one of these works. I personally find I need better prompt coherence, so I use the bigger encoder. But you might need to. Pre-language models decoder engine when available for a model. I didn't actually fit out with this, but slow compatible PyTorch, VLM faster, OLL load and VVAM will recommend that. Yeah. I'll just keep that at auto. VAE decoding, I personally set this to 32-bit because it just looks a bit better, to be honest. And if you use that, it's less VRAM, so if you have something less than 8GB of RAM, you might have to use that. But 32-bit is pretty good. So like speed gain. Compile transfer. Oh no, you don't want to use this because this most of the time just fails. So I won't bother with that. Large is better than big, in my opinion. Just slightly, just a bit better, especially for stuff I do. You'll see why you need this in a moment. BAE tiling is. I mean, you can set this for 8GB of RAM, finger RAM, but I personally just have this on auto. Let it pick for you. This here as well doesn't really work out well. Now these are the most important ones here. I'd recommend, if you've got a system like me, you select the very bottom profile for video. For images, you can select slightly higher. You can try to recommend it. The recommend it will probably cause a fail on video though. Default memory profile for all. I'm going in the bin. Audio is low VRAM, recommend it. You can set that there, but I've set it to that one. That one's actually okay. And VRAM megabyte preloaded models not default, and max always pin to serve memory. No. So. After that, just quick save when you've set your settings how you want them. Now, inside extensions, I would totally recommend that you set this to on-demand only. This isn't actually very good. In my opinion, personally, it's not very good. It won't help you very much. It will just rewrite your prompt and completely change it, and you'll just get stressed out if you're anything like me. So, I don't actually recommend this at all. You might even just want to switch it off. I've actually got it off at the minute because I don't use it. So. You don't really need that. However, I would say you definitely probably do want to try this. MM Audio is actually really good. If you want the smallest version, you take the standard. Then you take the MM Audio model resistance unload after use, which is best because you don't want it to be clogging up your RAM. And the temperature scaling up model is that's the latest, so yeah, I'll just do that. Yeah, that's the upsampling one. That's why it looks like clearer now. Okay. Go over here. You want to select your codec. Up to you which one you want. This is pretty much up to you. I personally put this at lossless level 10. High quality. It doesn't that says lossless and the other one says level 10. I personally put this on its highest. I think that's the highest. You can select your image codec, your audio codec, and your codec for audio files, because there is a couple of audio generators also in the software. And video output folder, image output and thing out. So that's all set. Then what I normally do is turn this on and it will tell you, it will make a little sound basically when it's finished generating. And that's useful when you're doing big generations because you might want to know when it's done it. Rather than just, guess when it's done it. Okay. Right, we're going to now dive into this, which is, I might be able to show you every single feature of this, but I'm going to do my best to cover most of them. We're going to have to run quite a few gems here though, to cover all of this. Now bearing in mind, the same VACE features are available in both versions of VACE. I'm going to personally, just for slight more speed, going to show you it through WAN 2.1. Yours will be Covase without any of these CT cheaters, or Deer, or Gazelle, that's just me. You will also have this one called Vase Cocktail. Vase Cocktail is pretty good, not gonna lie. But we're going to take a look at regular Vase first. That's a time bit. I don't know about version of Vase, but okay, it's not that one. Yeah, Vase blank. Yours won't say blank on it, by the way. I put that on there to label it for me. Yours will just say Vase. Inside here, you want to load a WAN 2.1 text to video 40B Light X CFG gesture scale rank 64 works best with Vase. It will allow you to still use all the Vase features without compromising quality. I've tried all of them, and that's definitely the best one. You want this set round about 3, since this is WAN 2.1. I would not recommend 10. Don't know why it was set to 10. It should not be set to 10. Night 5 is okay, but I'm going to personally put it back down to the one I like, which is 3.5. Just remember, these two are the same, and this one's always 0. something. 0.5 or 0.3 depending on what you want. Then of course put in your negative prompts. Yours will be different to mine. This is basically things that you don't want in the video. All the models have this except for models that don't use this nag thing. Well, technically all models have it, but it will only work on full-blown models. It doesn't work on distilled. But this program here allows you to use it through the distilled models. It's almost like a cheat. Let's look at it that way. It's like a cheat form. Okay, so first of all, I need to get into all this with you because you're probably thinking, what on earth? How many different things can this actually do? It's like a studio. Well, this is like a studio. This is pretty much like the ultimate model. I'm glad to be honest, I'm showing you one of the ultimate models here. Anything with Vase on. The Vase Control Net is a powerful model that allows you to control the content of generate video based on additional custom data, pose or depth video, images or objects you want to see in the video, and you can even use it all at once, which always adds to pretty thrilling results. Not gonna lie. Okay, so you're probably thinking, what's the most basic thing you can do with Vase? Where should you start? Well, I'm going to be quite blunt. With Vase, you can just use it as text to video. And we're going to do that. We're going to just send that prompt through as text to video. This is Vase doing the duty of the text to video model. And this is a really simple prompt this time, just to show you that you can get great results from even a simple prompt like this. The white duck dies from the sky splashing into the water and then rising to the surface. That is a really simple. And there you are. As you can see, pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, pretty cool. Let's hear it with sound. It's probably done quite a good soundtrack on this one. Oh. I must have had audio turned off on this model. It hasn't done me a soundtrack. Okay, what I'm going to do for the next one is I'm going to turn audio on again. Once we're going to just clear this prompt, but I'm going to keep that negative prompt. Alright, I was obviously doing a project at some point and I didn't for some reason want any audio on it. So that's fine. So it's basically, it did me no audio on that one. That's what it looks like basically if you don't turn audio on. Now, what I said, I know you're probably going to look at me and think, oh, okay. This could actually be an image to video model as well, with a bit more imagination than the original image to video. Let me show you how to set that up. It's quite easy. All you do is you click on this bottom one, positioned frames. Then you get this big box here, but before you do that, you want to change the number on here to 1. Then hit enter. After that, you want to load in the image that we want to play with. So, like last time, we're going to play with some there was some image or some things running there. Let's we're gonna see if there's anything in this Copilot stuff. Some of these are quite primal. I'm not going to bring any of the really extreme ones to life. Don't worry. But we could have a bit of an action scene here. Okay. Let's to be quite honest though, action scenes is not one of the things that WAN is that good at. I'm going to have to be honest. However, it's very good at dying scenes. Probably one of the best models I've ever seen for those. Just looking if there's any of these I want to bring to life. Or are these all a bit extreme? Right, let's that's just the same ones. Okay. I'll tell you what, okay, right, we'll bring this to life. These two cheaters are basically having a meal together. Let's have them like just sort of like talk to each other, you know, gesture to each other like they're talking together. Quite a simple little prompt that'll be. So we're going to say two cheaters are having a feast together. Ooh, told you. See here, I can spell happily. At the dinner table. That should work. I'm not actually having them dying in this time. But like I said, WAN is good at that. WAN is good at dying in scenes. But this time around we are going to just have him chatting. Now what I might do is I might revisit this scene when we go over to a model called LTX2, because there I'm going to be able to put a little addition to this scene that will be probably really welcome. And I'll show you how to do that on LTX2. However, we won't be doing that through VS on that one. This is a demo of VS. So check all your settings are correct and then just hit generate. And you can now see it has loaded in the picture. So the picture is now there. It's called an image reference, but it's basically the same thing as image to video now. The way I've done it, it's basically the same as image to video. It's injecting that picture as the first frame. Now you can do some really interesting effects. I'll show you these in a moment, where you can change this number, something you cannot do on image to video. And you can inject the image somewhere else in the video and make some really interesting effects. And I'll show you one very interesting one in a moment. But right now, we're now going to have to wait for this to gem. So yeah. So like I said, the duck came out really well. I didn't realise I've forgotten to switch on my MMO audio one, but it's absolutely fine. It's still a really nice duck scene. Not gonna lie. I would actually probably save this gem. It's really it's a nice one. I save any gems that are nice. So I like to honour my computer's work. But let's see what it does here. Okay, I'll see you in a moment when we'll see what the cheaters are doing. Okay, the two cheaters are here. Let's see what it's done. Look at that, isn't that good animation? Yeah, so the two cheaters are just having a casual conversation to each other. Notice again, it's not brought on the audio. I don't know what sort of audio we get on here. Ah, okay, so you get like the nature sounds in the background, which is quite clever because I told it I didn't want any voices, so it's actually done that. Okay, so yeah, that's the two cheaters talking at the table. Basically, whilst they're having their meals. Okay, so like I said, you can do some interesting effects with this. Now, the next effect I'm going to probably attempt on these two cheaters mightn't work in WAN 2.1. This is where you start seeing the difference between the two models, WAN 2.1 and WAN 2.2. And for that reason, we might be going to go over to the same base cocktail, but in the other model, which has the same functionality. Because for what I want to attempt to do in the other model, I'm not sure WAN 2.1 is going to be too good at it. It just hasn't got quite the same data set to be able to do what I want. So we're going to switch over to WAN 2.2, and you can see we've got Base Fun Cocktail Quantum, another quantum part. The Base Fun Cocktail is basically that model that we looked at, slightly different name in WAN 2.2, but it's the same model. And it does all the same things. You'll be able to see because we're going to set the same thing again. We're going to set the cheaters. However, this time we're going to do something a little bit more sophisticated. The frame set to 1, and we're going to just set it to say, well, that's the thing, the frame is set to 1. But what if I set the frame to 8? What would happen if I set it to 8? Now 8, as you may think, is not the end of the video, and it's not the start of the video. It's somewhere in the middle. Then I'm going to ask for the camera to pan out. I'll correct the spelling there, right? From the face of one of the cheetah as it talks to its friend. So you're probably going, alright, is there going to be like a bit more of a zoom? Well, that's what this should be. That's what this should be. And what I've done here is I've basically said to it, the frame, the picture, is in the middle of the video. So what's quite clever now is that I'm really challenging WAN 2.2. WAN 2.2 has to think about how the video would start and how the video would end. And basically has to do that. And then in the middle, it has to strike this exact pose. This exact scene here has to be just for one single frame in the middle. So you can see these two cheaters are like already talking to each other. This should be very interesting. Now for quickness, I'm going to set this to UPPC again. I have started to use that other sampler, however. And one thing you can do on WAN 2.2, which you can do on 2.1 as well, is that you can set this to 5. 5 will basically allow it a little bit more imagination and allows it a bit more space to play. For the challenge that we're giving it, it's going to do that. Okay? Right, I'm just going to check the audio settings, and by the way, if you're going to use this version, you have to have 2 LoRa's loaded here. You have to have WAN 2.2 Lightning text to video AB14 4-step LoRa high FP16, and then you have to have the WAN 2.2 Lightning text to video A414B 4 steps low LoRa low FP16. Load it, and you have to set these exact numbers. These numbers can be a bit tricky, I'm not gonna lie, so feel free to pause the video right here and copy them into a document with these little things in the middle. These little like don't know what you call them, like quotes or quotations. I'm not completely sure what they are. I think I'm trying to actually find this on my keyboard what they are. I think it might be the thing that's here. Is that one? Yeah, that's one there. So you see on your keyboard, like next to the @ key on your keyboard, you've got like a couple of dots and like a speech mark button. If you press that button, you will actually get that mark that you need for writing that. So feel free to copy that down if you can. If this bit's really tricky, you might need a bit of help to set this up. But this is a particular. This bit was tricky to set up. I'm gonna be quite honest. That's why I've made sure to save it lots of times since I've set it up. And then after that, once that's all set, just click generate. Got your prompting, you've got the cheaters ready to go. Now, this will take longer, and you will notice it behaves a little differently as well to the last model. It will encode the prompt like the last model. I'm just going to let you watch this because this model does work, like I said, differently to the model I've just shown you. This is WAN 2.2 we're using now. And this one behaves quite differently. It will do the thing where it encodes the prompt like it did before, but one thing it will do that's different is that it will say encoding, denoising, I think it's denoising, and you'll notice it says phase 1. And this is because this particular model actually has to do the denoising in 2 phases. Because this model is a little strange. It's kind of cut in half. Meaning, you've actually got 2 halves to this model. It's not like one big package where you've got like the whole model inside one big file, like you have in WAN 2.1. It's actually broken into like 2 little model files. And apparently each one does a different job. Yeah, so you get denoising phase 1 or 2 high noise. So it does the high noise and then it does the low noise. It's just the way it works. I can't really explain exactly what it's doing, but apparently someone said it's doing the background on one pass and the action on another pass. That's what someone told me. I'm going with what they say. Apparently it's called a mixture of experts architecture. It's quite interesting they don't use it in a lot of other models. Maybe because of how clunky it is. I mean, it is quite clunky. So, like I said, this probably will take a bit longer than what we had before. So, just a reminder here that the scene that is set here is actually 8. So frame 8 should match this picture. So at one point it should actually completely match the picture. But what it's actually going to do is it's actually going to hopefully start by zooming out one of the cheaters' faces. That way we'll get like a dynamic camera movement. Camera 2 pan out. I've actually missed a word there, man. It mightn't actually write that much. I have actually missed a word, and I do quite often do this as well. Starts to pan out. So I'll just say that. So if this doesn't work for whatever reason, I might have to rerun it with the correct prompt. But most of the time, when I leave words out, it doesn't actually make that much difference. The AI works out pretty much what you're saying. So yeah, this will not be a quick process, so I'm going to once again cut off and we'll come back when the 2 cheaters are ready. Okay, it seems like we didn't get the camera movement, but you will notice we've got like very smooth fur in the cheaters, and you'll notice that they're starting with their mouths closed. So let's see what happens. There's shimmering in the background. I can't say I've seen that before. You don't normally get that like shimmer in the background. But that's like shimmer. Okay, maybe that was something to do with the fact that I messed the prompt up. Maybe it was. I've done loads of videos with WAN 2.2 verse, and they normally do come out better than that. So maybe I did mess the prompt up a bit. Sometimes what you'll find as well, and some people might find this, I've often found this, is that sometimes if you put this to this 5, even though it supports the 5 quite well, this version, it's not as obedient. It doesn't stick to the prompt quite as well. So I'm going to try setting this back to 3 and run this again. Okay, so it's just going to have to load the model and get it all ready again, and I'll come back with... Okay, so let's take a look at this result. This is the second video that's been generated. Once again, it doesn't look like it's done the camera movement. So it's picking that up as like water, isn't it, in the background? That's why I tripped them. It thinks the whole like background's flooded. It thinks that's all water. It's picking that up as water. I might have had to put a little bit more in the prompt to say basically that the background's not water, but yeah. And yeah, I would say that basically shows you an idea of what you can do with that. Okay, we're going to probably end this video with one of my favourite prompts and to do. It's definitely very experimental stuff, I'm not going to lie. What we're going to do is we're going to now introduce you to the control video feature. First of all, we're going to introduce it to you without any objects, just so we can focus on what this does. This is the control video. You can transfer all sorts of things from basically an existing video, such as the human motion, the depth, the shape, the flow. And you can also transfer a combo of stuff like motion and depth, motion and shapes, motion and flow, depth and shapes, depth and flow, and that. I'm going to click this one as it's one of the most versatile, and we're going to just keep this selected as masked area. Just whole frame, sorry, not masked area, because to set up a masked area you have to use another part, which is this here. And I'm going to be quite honest, in the latest editions of WAN GP, this is not working too well. So I can't really show you at the minute until I fix it. Okay, so enable spectral output and landscape reference. So that's still in frame mode. Yeah, that's for him to keep in the control video. So I personally don't really use this, to be honest. This thing down here, you don't have to use it. I personally load in the control video and then set the crop. Right, for this we're going to go to a different part of my my lab, you could say. We're going to go into this folder and gem. This is like the general stuff that basically happens. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to do a simple little scene where we'll basically be looking at some object or something. We'll turn the object almost into something else, if that makes any sense. Okay, here's a fun one. I've just came up with it, and this is the sort of thing I know WAN can do quite well. You've got a bathroom here, basically like the inside of a bathroom or a toilet, with like rows of sinks. I'm going to turn this into a kitchen. But it's going to have this same, you could say, same sort of look to it. So it could be like, I don't know, sinks in a kitchen or something like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say that the camera pans slowly across a vast kitchen with burgers and what else would be on the surface? Burgers and it'll be like things like burgers and fries and maybe some fish as well. Some large fish. Large fish on the surface. And as if by magic, WAN 2.2 will have a go at basically imagining this bathroom as a kitchen. That's the best way I can explain it. Now, if I wanted to guide it more, we can use another great little feature, which is the people and objects feature. But we're going to run it without that to begin with. Now, this is only a short video, about 13 seconds, but we will literally only get 5 seconds of it due to the generation time. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go. We'll now transfer all this over here, and what you should see in a moment is that that picture should change. The picture in this frame will change. It will actually look a bit weird what it changed to. It will change to almost like a diagram of the picture, showing you how the AI is looking at it. Because the AI isn't going to look at the full image. The AI is actually going to look at the image and then it's going to think, right, how do I make this into a kitchen? How do I take its bathroom features out and make this into a kitchen? So, there. So, okay, so you can see two really strange images. Let me just magnify these for you. You can see here, this is the AI basically saying, right, I only need this much of the bathroom. The depth of the bathroom, quite literally, it's almost took like all the colours and objects out. It's going to actually completely redo the colours and everything on the image, but it will still be recognisable. And here you've got a load of like, it looks almost like a nebula. I'm guessing this is noise, almost like pure noise, since this is like the flow. And this must tell it how to do the camera movement or whatever. I don't really know. I mean, if someone gave me that, I'd be tempted just to put it on my wall because I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'd just put it on my wall as a nice art piece. It'd be like, okay. It's actually a motion map. So, the AI is now going to read those things and it's going to think about my prompt, which you can see it's doing here. And it will start to generate. And what we should get is we should get a video, very recognisable, should look very like this, very like it, but it will be a kitchen. And it will have those things hopefully on the surface. So it will put like burgers and fries and stuff on the surface, and it should become the kitchen surface. I don't know if it will keep the mirror. It might get rid of the mirror. It might get rid of the mirror, it might change the mirror to something else. It'll probably keep the door, but the door will be something else. You see what I mean? It's quite interesting. It's almost like, I would almost argue this is almost like a reimagine feature. Reimagining something that exists to be something completely different. Which is, to me, fascinating. That it can reimagine these things. Okay, so just in with the default settings again, because like I said, if it crashes or anything, I want to be able just to resume where I was. But it shouldn't really. Now it's got onto this bit, it should be okay. High noise. So it starts for high noise and does the low noise. Okay, we'll cut to this video when it's done. And that'll probably be the last video we'll be generating for this session. So I'll just say ahead of time, thank you so much for watching. And the next time we're going to be looking at a really great model. We're going to be looking at probably my new favourite model. And WAN 2.2 though I would still say is right up there with it. LTX2. What is LTX2? Once again I've got this set up my way. And that there can't be used right at the minute. We have to do some additional programming to get that working, but that's my own little project. But what is LTX2 and what can it do? LTX2 is an amazing text to video or image to video model. It's actually got both built into one. And what it can do is it can do fast-paced action scenes, and it can do the main thing it can do is audio. That is a huge leap. Now there is actually an LTX 2.3 out. Unfortunately though, they've only got the distilled version of it at the moment. They've only got this version of it and the dev version. None of these satisfy me, I'm going to have to be honest. Well, the dev version I physically can't afford to run it every time because it's very GPU consuming. So it's a bit different for that one. The distilled though is just absolutely everything I don't want. Let's just put it. As you probably can see here, I'm very partial to putting animals in my generations. And the distill keeps adding human faces into it and all of that. So, for that reason, I hate the distilled model of this particular AI. And due to that, I refuse blank to use it. And I now just use the quantized versions of the models, which are not actually that bad. But I just have to wait until LTX 2.3 gets some of these support. That'll be when I'll be able to use LTX 2.3. However, I've got one little idea that I might try now. I've got more disk space because I've just installed a new SSD, 4 terabyte in fact, and that is absolutely nothing to scream at, sneeze at. I might actually reinstall Comfy UI on here and use LTX 2.3 through that to give it a test run even before WAN GP supports it. So I might do that if it works, but I know you have to do a bit of fiddling about to get that to work. So I'll have to see if I can do it. But LTX2, I mean, strictly speaking, it says this one's distilled as well, but because it's GGUF, it's actually like a full model. From the impression I'm getting about the distilled model of this thing, it's actually cut in half. So it's like, this is only half the model, to be honest. It's not like compressed down like the other ones. It's actually cut in half. This is the impression I'm getting from it, because you just can't get the same quality as this out of it. You just can't. And these only take probably a bit longer. On my computer they don't actually take any longer. Hardly any increase in the time at all. So just crank that back to what it was. So yeah, but this is for next time. We'll be looking at this for next time. And what we're going to do is we're going to revisit our two cheaters. And in here, we're going to be able to make them have a small conversation. How does that sound? I think that will be a pretty thrilling project to work on. We can use any one of these GGUF workspaces. Quant 6 might even be enough for this project. Just to show you how to run it really lightly. Quant 6 will probably be enough. This sequence here, I didn't have much luck with it, to be honest. But that's because LTX2 isn't the best at image to video. Most of the time, in my opinion, it's reasonable at image to video. It's not like really bad at it, but it does hesitate on certain images. It just won't animate for some reason. But I noticed that about Sora 2 as well, and I really do think LTX2 and Sora 2 are extremely similar. And you're probably thinking that's like comparing a corporate company to a private company, and yes, it is. But you really need to use Sora 2 and LTX2 to get what I mean. There's a lot of similarities in how they work and how they generate the voices. The only difference is LTX2 seems to not keep taking hardware down, because I was getting told at one point In fact, Sora 2 was actually so powerful it was taking down their hardware. So, I think I've went overkill on Sora 2, and it shows they don't need to. LTX2 have proved you don't need to. I'm not going to say this can do everything Sora 2 can do, absolutely not. But it can do a pretty good lot, and it's running completely offline on your own hardware. And as a bonus, it's a little faster than this WAN stuff we've been running today. It's a little faster. So that could only be a nice little bonus. Some might say it's not as clear. Clarity, yeah. Clarity needs worked on a little bit of this model. That's what we've tried to fix a little bit in LTX 2.3, I understand. But it's not as bad as LTX 1. Okay. Okay. This has done something very interesting. And this is how creative it can become when you give it these sorts of prompts. So you can see it's actually done an aquarium. I never asked for an aquarium, but look, there's the burgers. I wouldn't say they're the best burgers I've seen. I mean, I've seen definitely better burger animations from it. You've got an aquarium where the mirror used to be. But you can see that these are silver surfaces, which means this is a kitchen, not a bathroom. So, strictly speaking, I don't really know what to think of this gen. I certainly think it's very interesting. Can say that about it for absolute definite, but it's not one of like the best ones I've ever seen from WAN 2.2's this. But hey, it's another feature. And that's the thing, you've got a ton of features here to play with. And you might just find that tweaking something on them might just make it better. Maybe I would have been better using my other sampler. Maybe it would have worked better on this one. That sampler, by the way, that I've selected, this one here, LCM and LTX, coincidentally enough, actually works really well on WAN 2.3. Not WAN 2.2. I'll just set that back to 05 as well. That normally doesn't make much difference. But yeah, free for obedience as well. Maybe it wasn't quite as detailed of a prompt as it could have been. Maybe I needed to put a little bit more detail into that. Maybe I should put with large burgers and fries. I think if I had put large burgers, it probably would have been better. Because it's still like quite small burgers. But the aquarium is interesting. I wasn't expecting that. The fish's movement's really good. Even though technically the fish was meant to be one of the reels. But looks like this one got a lucky getaway. It's a big guy too. Okay, that's it. I'm going to say that. Thank you for watching this first episode. Next time we'll be diving into LTX. Hope you very much enjoyed it. I'll just say that these models are all really amazing what they do. Always great fun to play with them. And I certainly have not really stopped playing with them since I got the software. You can see why it would be quite addictive. I'm very sorry you didn't see this at the start. This was actually the pictures I was going to show you at the start. But I realised the stupid OBS had not put itself in the right mode. But I think you can see them now. This is my wallpapers that are made on Flux. And we will have to take a look at Flux as well. Flux also runs through that software. It can do video models, it can do image models, and it can do audio models. So it's really versatile, WanGP. Do go and check it out. For me, Liberalia, have a very good night and hope you enjoyed this tutorial.